Kristina's lived the time is here. Real estate tips and news to share. Got your questions, we will air.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. It's another day in real estate. We've had some boring times in real estate, but I'm telling you what, things are going to start heating up. First of all, I mean, I knew instantaneously. If you saw the articles that came out this week, everybody's saying, oh, that's it. Affordability is back, everybody. We got nothing to worry about because interest rates have dropped and affordability is back. Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit more because with one of my favorite guests. You guys already know who this person is, but I'm sure he needs no introduction, but we're going to introduce him anyways. Mr. Sir Ashley.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
Is it your birthday?
It is not my birthday, but thank you, Eddie. I'll take it. It's my half birthday.
What's your half birthday? Oh,
yes.
Your 6-month birthday. I wonder why he did that. That was weird. That was very weird. Happy birthday, Sir Ashley. Oh, I think he hit the wrong button.
You're right.
He must have hit the wrong button. That's so funny. So, Sir Ashley,
Yes.
You've been a YouTuber for quite some time. We've talked about this in the past. We have an article we're going to be discussing. But before we get into that, we've had some weird stuff that's happened over the week. Yeah. So the jobs report came out.
It disappointed.
Yep. Earnings reports have come out for some major corporations. And the Fed is meant to meet on Wednesday. And there's rumors that they may cut the rate. So let's talk about the first thing before we get in the article. The jobs numbers. They came out terrible. What happens when the jobs numbers come in terrible?
Historically, rates come down.
Rates come down.
Like the federal funds rate comes down, and that impacts mortgage interest rates because the mandate of the Fed is stable employment, two mandates, stable employment and stable pricing, right? So if we don't have stable employment, right, jobs coming down, which has been a trend, they need to do something to try to buffer that. And to do that, the tool is to lower rates. So, yeah.
So I think it was a month, maybe or two ago, I said there's no crash, but there's signs that the market is cracking, right? And one of the things I've maintained anytime I've ever done a video, ever talking about any reports of a housing crash, I was being very realistic in my approach in the fact that there wasn't going to be a crash until we saw a collapse of the jobs market. When I saw those numbers yesterday, and I started looking at credit card debt for Americans has gone up because they're trying to buy essentials, right? It's over like $1.7 trillion. If people don't have a job and they're having to put like regular items on credit cards, not soon far behind are people either A, which you mentioned to me, they refinance their houses, or B, they have to sell their houses because they're in a financial hardship.
Yep.
So what were you saying about they have to refinance it?
So those people that got a 3% interest rate, even a 4% interest rate, they see they have all this equity, right? And equity is a beautiful thing, but if you can't tap into it, what is it good for, right? So what I see they're going to do, if it's correct, right? Job numbers come down, if interest rates come down some, they'll refinance into a low 6 or a high 5 interest rate from their 3 or 4% interest rate, and use the money they get to pay off credit cards and to help maintain their current lifestyle. But the trick is, or the challenging portion about this is the fact that they're also going to have to navigate that higher monthly mortgage payment. That if they don't plan or correctly go about it, it's going to be a big shock going from a 3% interest rate to a high 5 or low 6% interest rate.
So you're saying that people are going to start using their home equity as like ATM machines,
as a piggy bank,
as a piggy bank.
Yeah.
that happened in '08. Like
Yeah.
that happened. People had no choice.
Mhm.
Some of them were using it for stupid stuff, no doubt about it.
Hopefully we learn from that, but I don't know. People are
Do we
people.
ever
We
really learn?
repeat. Yeah, that is true.
Do we really ever learn?
That's
No.
true.
I'd say about like, I'm going to be generous. 20% of the population learns their lesson. The other, not everybody learns their lesson, but,
Mhm.
and if people don't remember that, right? So
Yep.
there's people that are young enough that have gotten into houses that don't
Mhm.
remember '08, or they were too young to remember '08, and what
Mhm.
happened and how significant that was. So they're going to think, because they're young, they're going to think this is a good idea. They're going to get in over their head because they're afraid to ask for help from family members to explain things to them. They're going to think they're doing the right thing because they're going to talk to somebody behind a desk that says, "Oh yeah, it's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Just fill out these forms and you'll
And
be fine."
and they get compensated when you go ahead and apply and get that mortgage or that refinance and all that. That benefits them, right?
Because
And
benefits
we
them.
I was talking to some people earlier this week, and just
Mhm.
we as a society, we don't take advantage of our elders. And I don't mean like elders, like elderly, just people that are older than us, seen a little bit more, experienced more, to where if these millennials and whatnot, because even when '08 and stuff, I was still in law school. Millennials, if we had that conversation with our parents' generation or just people older than us about what happened, what transpired, we could avoid some of this heartache or pain that could possibly be on the horizon by not repeating the same mistakes.
I have I think some of that comes from the fact that like when
Mhm.
you have those conversations, you sit in the
Yeah.
"I told you so" judgment thing from like, why would you do that? Like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
asking for your help now. Let's not talk about why I did it. Let's just talk about how I get out of this. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's where that comes from. You
Mhm.
get in that little like they get on their throne of judgment and just start scolding you, and you're like, I
Yeah.
feel 5. I don't want to hear this. Not that I've had
Yeah.
any experience with that whatsoever. anyway, let's get into our article because
Yes, yes.
I have concerns, and like I probably need to update my crash video because I never talk about the housing. I never talk about it, but it became a
Yeah.
hot topic here on
Yeah.
YouTube.
It became, still is. It gets a lot of traction.
Right. Well, eventually those people are going to be right. Right.
A broken clock is right twice a day, right? So you're going to be
Yeah.
right eventually. They've been
Yeah.
predicting a crash for the last 7-8 years, but it's gotten real big within the last 4, and they've been wrong. But eventually, you keep saying something long enough, you will be right.
Well, the thing is that my indicator has always been jobs. So
Yes.
when I saw jobs, my stomach kind of sunk a little bit. Because I already knew, and everybody in this audience knows, the jobs numbers have always been a little wackadoodle, right?
Yep.
And so when the jobs numbers come out now and they're that bad, and they didn't expect them to be at that level, to me that says it's probably far worse than what they're
Mhm.
reporting. Far worse.
And
So
and even the job numbers as they're reported, you
mhm.
still see some funny business. I was going to use a different F word.
Every
Some
time
some
for
funny business
years.
going on, and
Mhm.
because even with the job numbers, you see a lot of part-time employment, like being calculated and all that. To where like, oh, we created all these new jobs, but it's part-time employment. Like
Right. These people are
so,
working 3 damn jobs just to make it.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So it's
Yeah,
still
there's always been
even with
funny business.
exactly. Yep, yep.
And then the one that always killed me was like, "Oh, well, they haven't found a job within 9 months, but we're gonna go ahead and take them off the roster altogether." They're
Hmm.
not we
Hmm.
consider them no longer actively looking. Like, no, that's not how
No,
that
no,
works.
that's
They
not
don't
how
have
it
a
works.
job.
That's not how it works. They still need a
I know.
job. They still need income.
They
Yeah.
still need income,
Yes.
Anyway, yeah. So I didn't put a lot of, so like when they say that the jobs numbers look the way they do today, that
Hmm.
to me says it's far worse than what the reports are saying in my
Yeah.
brain.
No,
So
I mean, and the thing is, just it all ties in with the earning reports that you mentioned earlier, and we're going to dive into the jobs, and then predicting what will happen, intelligently predicting what will happen in the housing market. Like it all comes together, right? And
yeah.
nothing just happens all at once. Like it takes some momentum. It goes. It's if you look at the signs, it's
Mhm.
easy to see what's happening.
Lawnmower says, I like keeping my clocks flashing at 00000. I was guessing.
Yes,
All
yes.
right. It says housing affordability is moving in the right directions. Economists say, here's what's to know. This is from CNBC. And I told you guys, as soon as the interest rates dropped just a scotch, they were going to say, oh, yeah, home affordability is back. Home affordability has slightly improved for home buyers this summer, according to a recent report. The median mortgage payment was $2,167 in June, a 2.4% decline from $2,219 in May. A new data from Mortgage Bankers Association. The index measures how new monthly mortgage payments can change over time relative to income. Can I just say that a house payment of like 2,200 or 2,100 for a young family is ridiculously high because you got to add your insurance payments and your taxes on top of that. Like
Yeah.
it's then just because the interest rates came down does not make the house more affordable. I mean,
No.
technically, yes, your payment is a little bit less, but it doesn't make it affordable for the masses. So, anyways, a decrease in the index shows a borrower's affordability has improved, which can happen when loan application amounts and mortgage rates decrease and home buyers' earnings grow. Whose earnings have grown? What? And that was the other thing in the jobs report, that they were saying that incomes have not been rising.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
home buyer affordability conditions improved for the second straight month as declining mortgage rates continue to increase and purchasing power is enticing some buyers back into the housing market, said Edward Sealer, MBA's Associate Vice President of Housing Economics.
Economics. Yes.
Economics. Oh, here, Lawrence Yoon, Chief Economist for Senior Vice President of Research of
Realtors.
National Association of Realtors, also sees promising indicators for home buyers. Home affordability is improving ever so modestly. Let's just put a big strain on modestly.
Modest. Yeah. I love how they say it. I love how they put it.
The bigger picture shows that payments are still high. Thank you for finally putting that out there. The median home amount for a new application fell to $320,512.
Mm-hmm.
So the median application is gone down some from 225 in May. A slight home price growth is moderating as well, according to MBA data provided to CNBC.
Mm-hmm.
A slight decrease in mortgage rates in the month of June definitely helped buyers. Not much.
No, not much at all.
The 30-year fixed rate mortgage declined to 6.78 on July 25th, down from 7.22 on May 2nd, according to Freddie Mac data via the Fed. It's even down even more now.
Yeah. It's around what? 6.4. It's 6.4 right now.
Yep. Did someone just shout out 6.4? Was that you?
That was me.
Oh, you sounded different for a half second.
Make sure the mic is right. Okay, mic's on.
Yeah, it's good. It's a very small improvement in context. Thank you for pointing that out. The typically monthly mortgage payment has essentially doubled from pre-COVID years. Before COVID, a $1,000 mortgage payment was the norm. Today it's over $2,000, and that's where we need to be. Maybe $1,300, for the median mortgage payment. But you know what? I don't even know if we could even get back there again, anyways, with
that's
insurance
and taxes. Tough. Yeah, it's gonna. With taxes and insurance. Man, my house, where I live in the Carolinas, we recently got a mortgage statement, and our taxes and insurance for the escrow went up on $400 or $500 a month.
Oh, Eddie, you're scrolling. You're scrolling, man. Scroll back up, dude. Where are you going? Where are you going, Eddie?
There we go.
It says the market is certainly tilting towards buyers, said Chen. I don't know how to say how do you say that last name?
Chen Zhao.
Zhou. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name, sir. Anyways, the economic research led to Redfin on a real estate brokerage firm who said that the market is balancing itself. While still affordability is a challenge broadly, conditions are moving in the to a more neutral market.
Yeah. It depends
Okay.
on, my thing is, it really depends on the price point. What I'm seeing
Mhm.
in the Carolinas. In the
Right.
Carolinas, it really depends on the price point.
Yeah. In some areas, buyers are getting pickier as more listings pop up. Total housing inventory registered at the end of June was 1.32 million units, up from 3.1% from May and 23.4% a year ago, according to the
Yeah.
National Association of Realtors. Unsold inventory is at a 4.1 month supply, 4.1 month supply, up from 3.7 months in May and 3.1 months a year ago. So 4.1%, 4.1 month supply of homes is a normal market. If we see over 6 and it starts climbing, if let me just put it this way, if next month that goes up, let's just say to 5 month supply, that's a
One thing that is a telltale sign. But one thing, I've been looking at Alto's research, their data, and they put out weekly data as far as what's happening, tracking the housing market real time. And new listings, according to their data, peaked about 2 weeks ago as far as new listings coming to the market. So theoretically, the only way there's going to be more inventory is if homes continue to sit on the market, because there's going to be fewer homes coming to the market as far as new listings. So we'll see.
Right. Well, that peak is normal because
Yes.
people
Yep.
were, that's a normal peak for everybody that
Yep.
doesn't, because a lot of people during this time are putting their houses on the market before that because, the kids got out of school. It's a perfect
Got
time
out of
for
school.
to
Exactly.
move.
Yep.
And I don't know if you know this, but here in Louisiana, they're going back to school next week.
No, in South Carolina too. What, August 8th is when they're starting school. Yeah.
It is 1,000. I'll never forget that. I don't think it should be after Labor Day. I'm from up north. It should be after Labor Day.
I
I
agree.
don't know
I
why
agree.
would they do it like this in the South. Competition is easing fastest in the South, where a majority of Southern markets, except Dallas and Raleigh, are either neutral or buyer friendly, according to the June 2024 Zillow housing market. So you guys are in a more neutral up there in the Carolinas.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. That's why it depends on the price point, right? Because it's still very, very competitive. Right around below the median and right around the median, which is around 400,000. It's still very competitive. That is, significantly higher than it was pre-pandemic, the $400,000 price point. But with all the influx and people coming to the area, they still see that as very affordable, relatively.
Right,
But if you
right.
get,
Because if you're coming from New Jersey,
you come from
you're
New
400.
Jersey, you coming from
Yeah,
California, that's like, oh, 400,000, that gets me, this is amazing. They're so happy to see 400,000, right?
I
So
know. I know. Because when I moved from Florida to Louisiana, I felt like I won the lottery. I'm like, this is what I can get for this amount of money. I was
mhm.
like, in a brand new home. I was like crying. Like,
Yeah.
I felt wealthy.
Lori, we have Lori saying, she's saying, wow, competition is easing except Dallas and Raleigh, and she's near Raleigh. I sell a lot of homes near the Raleigh area, and
Mhm.
reach out. We can talk, because depending on the price point, right, and depending on the suburb of Raleigh and what kind of new construction is there, there's opportunity, but you have to be very specific in what you're looking for.
My last guest I had on last week, she's
Yeah.
in
Yes.
Portland, Oregon, and
Mhm.
she was saying that through all of these bumps in the road, like from the hottest market to now, like it's a little bit more flexible market,
Mhm.
the lower priced homes have always been the ones that have been flying off the market, always.
Yeah.
So, but
And
even if there was, like, let's just say there was theoretically a crash and we started seeing homes like drop $10,000 a week. Um,
yes.
let's just theoretically say that.
Yeah, let's game plan it out.
Let's game plan it out. Wouldn't those homes on the lower end still be the hottest commodity?
Yeah, they would. And that's the challenging part when I'm
Mhm,
talking to buyers, in that they want to get the more affordable home,
mhm,
is I get it. it. It's a lot of money,
mhm.
right? It's a lot of money. However, when rates come down and if the price comes down some more, there's even going to be more competition. And that competition will drive the price up to where you see homes. This doesn't seem like a long time, but it's a long time compared to 2-3 years ago. You see homes sitting on the market for 20, 30 days in that price point. And you can actually negotiate something right now, get some seller concessions. But if prices come down and rates come down, you're going to be going up against more cash buyers and more people that can afford to get qualified in that price point. So it really is a tough conversation because everybody wants to quote unquote time the market to where they want to feel like they get a good deal and it's valuable and they get what they pay for. But at the same token, if your budget is in that price point, can you afford to wait? Meaning afford as far as being able to compete with other people when they come to the market if rates come down. It's a tough conversation.
How all right, since we're playing imaginary land, how low do you think they could go? If we continue to see a tumble of the jobs market in a imperfect scenario.
Yeah. So this is what I'll say. I see. So it's not totally nuanced, but the headlines will say prices crash 30%. That's what the headlines will say.
Yes.
But once you look at it, you'll see that it was that $1 million property that took
the biggest
$200,000 off their price,
mm-hmm.
right? And that median price home around $300,000 is still right around $295.
Right. Our low end homes starting to crash.
Low end not going to crash as much, right? So where
mm-hmm.
you're going to see the headlines, the numbers will be accurate where it says, because you see this big delta between $1 million and now somebody paid $800,000.
Mm-hmm.
But in actuality, somebody in that $300,000 price point thinking, oh, now I can get this home for $260,000, $250,000. No, in that price point, it only came down $5,000. So that's where the headlines will say prices come down 30%. That's what it will say.
Mm-hmm.
But in actuality, depending on your price point, they may not have gone down significantly at all.
Yep. Peter says, doesn't so many people owning their home free and clear now prove that many people did learn from 2008?
Well,
no.
The numbers are the same. Like historically, you had anywhere from 30 to 40% of homes in America paid off free and clear. So same 2008 to now, if you look up the numbers, I am very confident, I'm not 100% confident, but very confident that they will be within that 30 to 40% of homes. That's just the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just, and a lot of those people that own those homes are in an age group that have made, like, own their homes free and clear in an age group that they have their own money. So even if they were to lose their job, they have invested in other places where they wouldn't be necessarily having to tap out of their equity in their houses in order to survive. Right. Usually during these times, and this is what I saw, were the young families, people with kids that are like just starting college, somebody that bit off more than they can chew and thought that they were going to be a millionaire. They bought a house at the max that they were approved for, put absolutely no furniture in it. We're planning on waiting 6 months to flip it by not doing anything. And then sure enough, 6 months later, it didn't do well. I mean, that's what 08 looked like, who knows what we don't know what this particular person, this stressed buyer seller will look like this time.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to trigger those people in order to sell. But I think we're going to see a lot more sellers, and that's going to put pressure on home prices. And I do think that home prices will come down. Who those people are going to be that have to sell will be interesting. We don't know. And like you said, it could be the millionaires. It could be the millionaires that have to sell it. Could be the tech guys, could be the Intel guys.
I was going to say, we can talk about that because we can talk about real quick, Gerald asks, am I in Louisiana? Do I live in Louisiana? I do not. I live in South Carolina, like right on the border between North and South Carolina and the greater Charlotte area. However, I was telling Kristina and
I'm in
Eddie that I am in Louisiana right now. Like presently, right now, I am in Louisiana. I'm about an hour away, 50, 60 minutes away from Kristina right now. I'm at a beautiful real estate conference that all realtors love to go to.
I am in Louisiana. I'm outside of Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge,
Yeah.
Louisiana. So anyway, so we were talking about Intel. Their numbers came out. They laid off 15,000 jobs, and that's their second layoff.
15%. I think it was 15,000 or 15%.
We'll have to look it up. Eddie can pull it up for us.
It was whatever it was a huge number. Like
it was a huge number, and that was their second layoff because they had done a layoff not too long ago.
Yeah.
So that was the one that they did not too long ago was their, I guess, soft layoff, and now they're going to even do more. So tell me what you were saying about that.
No, I was saying what I think that ties right into what I was saying as far as purchase price, talking about crashing and everything and who's going to be selling. When you look at Intel jobs, are we talking about, we're talking about people, I'm generalizing, that are going to be high fives, if not six-figure earners, right? So those are the homes that they may have bought for $500,000, but because of equity and all that may be worth $800,000 right now. Well, they go to sell their home and they can't sell it for $800,000. Right? They may be able to get 600, 650, maybe, let's say 700. But the news report will say home prices crashed, although they still walked away with $200,000-$300,000.
Right. Because there's a lot of people that are sitting on a whole lot of equity.
A lot of equity.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The
So
average
let's say you
homeowner
bought
has
your
about
house
$250,000 equity right now.
Right. So if you bought your house, like in my neighborhood, if you had bought this house in let's just say in 2008, right?
Yeah.
You already made you already have $250,000 in equity in your house, right? If you bought your house here in this neighborhood back in 2008. And
that's just assuming you made normal mortgage payments, right? You didn't, you didn't double up, you didn't do anything, you just, yeah.
And that's just the equity, and then you add your payments that you've already put on there. You're, if it went down 30%, that doesn't really affect that person.
No.
Every time somebody says, like, that happened when people were listing their house, they're like, man, I lost $30,000 because I didn't sell at the right time. I'm like, what are you talking about? You made $100,000 off the sale of your house. You didn't lose anything. That was imaginary money. It doesn't. It's just like the stock market. It's just imaginary money.
It's fugazi.
You're playing a lot of what if
out there. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
So
it's almost like when you're calculating net worth, like because of all these assets people have and everything, until it's actually realized, you can't really. It's just
it's just a unicorn.
Circumstantial.
It's not really there.
Circumstantial.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions for Mr. Ashley and I, please go ahead and ask. Somebody last week, and I can't remember their name, and I feel guilty about this. They asked, what's going on in, North Carolina and South Carolina. I'm like, I don't know, but I know somebody that knows. I know somebody that knows.
Yes.
And that happens to be Sir Ashley. I was like, I'll have him back on here.
No, thank you for reaching out. So what's going on is, again, you see two different markets. You have what's happening in the major cities. You have Raleigh, you have Charlotte, you have Charleston, and right around the median price is right around anywhere, depending on the areas. I just mentioned three large ones, 300 to 405. It's very competitive. But even being competitive, I was able to find an investor property this week for $260, a 4-bedroom, move-in condition.
I was gonna say, is it a dump?
Move-in condition. The HVAC has just been replaced. The roof has just been replaced. And it's been on the market for, I know this is gonna sound crazy, but 12 days. I would not have expected that home at that price in Charlotte proper to be available for 12 days. And here I am in Louisiana.
Garbage?
They're not the best.
Oh, okay.
They're not the best. That will give it. But even still, it's hard to find anything in Charlotte proper that is habitable, let alone like move in ready for less
Uh-huh.
than 3.
So they
Right.
were hot to
So
trot. They were ready to go. They're like,
they're ready to
we're
go.
gonna,
They're motivated.
yeah,
They
we're not
knew
gonna
they
play
had some
games.
equity
We're
in
not
there.
testing the market. We're putting it at a good price.
Yep.
The 12 days is long
Yep.
if it's
Yeah.
if it's at a
So
sales price.
at that price, exactly. So
Right.
so you can find deals. You just have to look and search and everything, because we were looking at another property slightly higher,
Mhm.
but it needed work. It needed a significant amount of work. And sellers need to be realistic. If they want to sell, they need to price it accordingly.
Mhm.
But you see homes that are above that $450,000 range sitting on the
Mhm.
market a significant time. Anywhere from, let's say significant, this is all relative because pre-pandemic, this is just the norm.
Mhm.
Anywhere from what, 40 to 60 days if it's above the median price.
Says, wow,
You-
competition is easing, except in Dallas and Raleigh.
yeah.
Oh, in lots of areas in New Jersey. Somebody just said that they watch
Mhm.
Jackie Baker on Monday. She does a live
Yes.
stream. Yeah, and I know her market is hot to trot. I mean, they don't, even like you said, the lower end homes don't
Mm-mm.
last.
They don't last. No.
They don't last. And the thing is that we're due. I'd say the housing market is due for an enema, if I'm going to be honest, because
Mm.
a good portion of people that have good, well-paying jobs can't find an affordable house with their incomes. And that
Yeah.
has caused a big problem. Then if you look in
And
some southern areas, right, they have
yes.
upped how many houses that institutional investors have bought. They
Yeah.
will
Yep.
argue to death that, oh, that's not an issue. It totally is.
Yep.
It
It
totally
is.
is. And now they have increased how much they're building these build to rent houses. So when you have a group of people that are more than capable of buying a house, but we don't have the housing available, it's a huge
Mhm.
problem.
Huge
And
problem.
that's why the public has so much pressure on these institutional investors buying these smaller houses.
No,
The
what we're
fact that
seeing right
maybe we
now,
could get a correction in the housing market, a price adjustment, a little, I don't think that's
this is,
necessarily a bad thing.
but this is what concerns me as well. Well, two things:
Mhm.
the needed income in the Carolinas right now, the major cities. You need at least. I did a video on this live stream a couple weeks ago. At least $100,000,
Mhm.
and for it to be just the average home price.
Mhm.
Right? So that is absolutely insane, right? But my concern is with these if prices come down, if interest rates come down, or if prices come down and crash,
Mhm.
and talk about institutional investors.
Mhm.
Unless there's something in play, and granted, I understand this is America, um, freedom and everything you can buy. But if there's not something in place, we have already seen just last week, Warren Buffett has $270 billion just in cash chilling. Like he sold
Yeah.
50% of his Apple stock
Yep.
and the only reason why he does stuff like this, I study people, is when
Mhm.
he thinks there's going to be blood in the street so he can buy a whole bunch of stuff.
Yep.
So if he sees a crash coming or prices come down, if you're a seller, are you going to take the cash offer from an investment company, guaranteed, going to close, or are you going to hope that this person can get pre-approved and go through underwriting and all that? So my concern is if prices come down, more investors will come into the market, buying up cash and then leaving families out in the cold again.
So that's the difference. So back
Yeah.
into '08, that's when the equity firms really started cranking it up, right?
Yeah.
They really
Mm-hmm.
honestly didn't even know what they were doing. So the banks
No.
got bailed out, right?
Mhm.
And then the banks had this inventory of houses. And
Yep.
so these other people were like, you're going to buy them. Like you're buying all of
Mhm.
it. What you got to get rid of these off of our books. We can't maintain this. This is
Yeah.
costing us too much money. We'll sell them to you in bulk. And so they were like, crap, what do we do with these things? Should we fix them up? I don't know. Maybe, you know what? We'll fix them up later. Why don't we just go ahead and put a little bit of paint on them and put a for rent sign on there? And then they found out they had a cash cow. And they were
Cash
like,
cow.
we need more of these. And so they really started
Yeah.
amping it up. so they didn't have, like, at first they didn't know what to do, and they thought, this is crap. This is these are in crappy areas. I don't like, this is never going to rent. And they were like, no, we can dominate a market. We have,
In
20
Charlotte,
houses down this one street. We can
there's
dominate the
over
market.
35,000 corporate investor owned houses in Charlotte right now. Charlotte proper. That's not including mom and pop investors or anything like that. We're talking about corporations,
Yes.
those large corporations. Yep.
Yep. And then they, like, if you look at the articles, you got to look who's writing these articles. They'll say, well, it's not the corporate investor that's the problem. It's the mom and pops. Those are the ones that own the most investment properties, but they don't dictate the market. They're not using specialized algorithms to tell you exactly how much rent should be in the area, right? They all get together, use the same algorithm, so that it's all price
It's
fixed.
all right there. It is. Yeah. It is exactly it.
Gross.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
And if we see a tumble where people are, the regular person has more economic pressures, they're going to be forced to sell. And I see what you're saying. Like, if an institutional investor comes in and says, hey, I got cash for you today, you can be done with this in 10 days. You don't have to worry about this house anymore. And they've already in a financial situation where they're already been freaking out. They're probably going to take that than the person that's going to take 30 to 45 days in order to close. There are good people out there that will wait it out, but I mean, when you're in a financial predicament, when you can't sleep and you feel like someone's throwing you a lifeline, I understand.
You have that weight on your chest and somebody's offering you something to be able to alleviate that. I get it. I totally get it. But that just perpetuates that cycle to where now, an average person that could have, quote unquote, could afford in that price point is not getting that home. Right? It's an institutional investor.
If we followed wages in the area that I live in, the median price home should be $89,000. It's nowhere near that. Nowhere near that.
Not even.
nowhere.
I'm sorry. I have to laugh. I can't even. That is. Not even close. Not even close.
Nope. So Wes says, what is your opinion of a reverse mortgage?
My opinion is it's not fully fleshed out because I was against it at first initially, right? I didn't see the benefit of it. And then I had a buyer who sold their home in the DC area, come to Charlotte and bought their home with a reverse mortgage. And their end goal is a little bit different than everybody else's. When I think about buying a home, I'm thinking you're going to buy it, pay down, have your equity, or buy it on all cash, and then pass it on to family, right? Keep it on your big cup, gets me every time, and then pass it on. Pass it on to family.
Description. If you like my cup, you can have it too. There's an Amazon link in the description.
Pass it on to family. But their strategy is a little different because they don't have any heirs or anything like that. They bought the home reverse mortgage, so they not even technically they bought a home. The mortgage company typically owns it, and they have no payments on it. Only thing they pay is the HOA. So it worked out for their situation, but their situation is not very unique. So I mean, is very unique. It's not very common. So I would stay away from it unless you're fully educated on it. But
that's what I was going to just say.
Yeah,
I think everybody has their own economic decisions that they have to make, and there is no one size fits all answer to that specific loan product. I've seen it work out just fine for people, right? They were like, thank God we had that, right? But I've also seen people being taken advantage of when it came to a reverse mortgage because it wasn't explained to them correctly. It's one of those things, if you are planning on doing something like that, like really do your research, due diligence, read as much as you can about it before you make that decision. You may want to meet with your financial advisor too. And so that way you're clear on that. And I would meet with several different loan officers in your area as well. I would not, just because your financial advisor tells you to go visit Stan down the street, go visit Stan, but go visit some other ones too. So you can have a clear explanation of what it is.
Exactly. And definitely talk to somebody that the mortgage broker or professional that helped my clients. Only thing or the main thing they did was reverse mortgages,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that was their specialty. Just
Mm-hmm.
because everybody can quote unquote do a reverse mortgage doesn't make them the subject matter expert. Like you want to
That's like
make sure you
VA
go to that
loans.
subject. Exactly. Same thing. You want to make sure
Oh,
you go to somebody that deals with that on a
the
regular
VA
basis.
expert.
So you're not being surprised together. You don't want them to say, "Oh, I didn't know about that," or "Oh, this
Yeah.
is no."
Oh, this was new to me.
Yeah, you don't want that at all. You don't want that.
Yeah, I don't know why this made me think of this, but it's kind of like you know how like your doctors say, "Well, I practice medicine." I want the doctor that's no longer practicing. I want the doctor that already knows how to do it. They don't need any more practice.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
are they
No,
practicing mortgages? I'm a practicing mortgage broker. You're practicing? I want you to be the expert, please.
I like it. I like
No
it.
more practice. I want you to know how to do it. Anyway. That's how my brain thinks. Gerald says, have you heard of any radio shows named Lifestyles Unlimited, Total Wealth Academy, Real Estate Today, and Tremone's DFW Real Estate? Radio shows. I'm not a radio show person because that means I would be in my car. And when I'm in my car, I usually listen to podcasts.
Mhm.
And my podcasts are murder mysteries.
I like
I
it. I
love
like
me
it.
some true crime.
Yes.
Too
I
much
try to stay away
fraud
from
in real
those.
estate transactions. But
Yeah.
Charlton says that there's too much fraud in real estate transactions. You know what? Somebody sent me an email about real estate fraud
Yeah.
escalating. We've had I'm sure you know this with the wire transfers, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, we've been getting notifications from our attorneys, actually a couple of attorneys. So North Carolina and South Carolina is an attorney state to where
Mm-hmm.
all real estate transactions have to take place with an attorney. And we've gotten letters from our attorneys that we do closings with, making sure we double and triple check the wire stuff information. And then we've had probably, I'll say, two attorneys that just stopped wires just altogether. Like they don't want to deal with it. They don't want the additional
Only
liability.
cashier's checks.
Only cashier's checks, right? And then
Yeah.
also, even when, like, let's say you sell your house, as opposed to them wiring your funds, your profits to your account, no, you got to come get a check.
Yep.
So they've done
I
away
don't.
with it altogether.
I've only wired once, and that was when I was moving because I had a bank account in Florida. The whole time I was freaking out because there was something about going to the bank, getting that bank out, and seeing the actual piece of paper with the number on there, and then walking in there and handing it to them and saying, "Take this," you know.
Take this, yeah. No.
Because if you don't know what's been happening, and it's been going on for the last 10 years. We get something called wiring instructions. So your down payment for your house goes to the title office through these wiring instructions. The fraud comes in because somebody gets a phone call or they get an email that looks just like the title office's email saying, there's been a problem. We're going to have to change the wiring instructions before closing. Please confirm that you've received these wiring instructions and print them out. So that way, when you go to the bank, you can, go to the bank and give them these. So these people panic because usually sometimes it's like an hour, 2 hours beforehand or 3 hours beforehand. And they're like, shit, we got to change all this. Excuse my French. So then they get to the closing table and they're like, we haven't got your wire yet. And they were like, we just changed it. You just sent us that letter. It should be here. And they're like, we never changed anything.
No.
So if you are doing this wiring thing, if you happen to get a phone call or an email, what I want you to do is say, okay, thank you. Hang up the phone and then physically call your title office. Not the one that's written on the email address. No, go into the Google Webs or go into your old handy dandy phone book, find the phone number for the title company and call them up and say, did your wiring instructions change? 99.99999% of the time, they did not change.
They did not change at all.
Very, 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 very rare that there would be any reason why your title company would need to change wiring instructions. There's no real reason why a title company would need to do that. So just make sure that you double check that, so that way you can close on your house, because there's people that have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. You gotta remember, like when you're buying a house, so like this is like your third or fourth house. Now you have a big nest egg of money. So you have like $400,000 to buy your next house as a down payment. And these people in the internet space has swiped it. That's it. It's gone. Sometimes it can be intersected, but a lot of times it cannot. And they cannot retrieve that money back. It's gone forever. Boom. Sucks.
That is that hurts to even think about. I know it happens, but it hurts.
I wouldn't even know what to do. I would probably lose it. I would have I'm a little emotional anyway, so if I lost that much money, I would not be well. I would not be well. Yeah. So, just be very careful out there with that. But
somebody asked about rents in the Charlotte area. I can't think of it. It was a little while ago. And I will say this: rents for single family homes are holding steady and not going up in certain areas. Now, rents for apartments, because there's been a lot more apartment construction, are softening. So if you're looking for an apartment, prices are coming down. Now, if you're looking for a single family home, they're dealing with the same thing, just a lack of inventory as far as the rental market goes. So they're holding steady, if not increasing ever so slightly.
Rents need to come down.
As Lawrence Yun wants to say in that article, they're increasing modestly.
Modestly, I was going to say modestly. It's modest.
Yeah.
Ever so slightly. Nancy says only 1/3 have hit the thumbs up button. Get busy. She wants you to hit that thumbs up button.
Yes.
So, my
deed theft.
I've had a very concerning outlook of the housing market this past week when I saw those numbers come out. I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye out. I want to ask the audience this. So they're having a meeting on Wednesday. There is a debate if the Fed is going to cut the rates. I think they're going to cut it. I know our Sir Ashley says he doesn't think they're going to cut it. I think they're going to cut it. Trap says deed theft is a thing in Atlanta. Real scary stuff. That is true. So yeah, the people come in there, they forge signatures, and then they put the deed in their own name on houses that have already been paid for.
Yeah.
They even have notarizations and everything. There was a guy that was going around doing that. Can you believe that?
I believe it. I did criminal law for years.
I forgot that.
I believe when somebody say, can you believe somebody's capable of doing this or would do it? You would be surprised at the things that I've seen and come across my desk and heard in the courtroom or courthouse. People get creative, and they get I would say, to put it nicely, people get creative.
It's amazing because the amount of time that they spend on being a thief. If they put that,
they could be exactly. Like if you put all that effort into it, you're obviously thinking is not your problem. You can connive this. Let's channel that. Let's channel it into the right way. Right.
Yeah. And then they have the squatters too. Those and then there's a whole group of people that help the squatters stay in.
I was gonna say the squatters know the law better than most attorneys.
Well, that's because they teach them how to do it. There's a guy on Instagram that actually teaches them how to stay in the house even longer.
Wow.
And how to file the right paperwork and make fake leases so it looks like they legitimately live there. Thieves.
That's
insane.
No,
I hate a thief. Two things I hate: liars and thieves. Can't stand them.
So, Lori, you asked, how do people know you're about to wire or pay? Two things. They can see if you're under contract.
There's signs. So
if you're under contract,
people make posts on Facebook.
A home soon.
Yep. They make posts on Facebook. They say, "Come look at look, we just put an offer in on this house. We're so excited." That's one way. A family member will post something online. You end up telling on yourself. You make a change at the post office. Some people are real creative and they find out that you're pulling your credit at several different loan officer places. Thieves are thieving. They know what they're doing. They're scrubbing the internet.
They're very good at what they do.
Yep.
They're very good at what they do.
Yep. And then like a lot of times what happens is that some thieves are watching other real estate agents email addresses, and they're not doing anything but watching, right? So they're seeing when those contracts are coming in. They have hacked into their email system, and they're just watching, and they're just waiting for that big ticket item to come through that screen, and they're patient. And once that $1 million house, it goes under contract, they see the title company, and then they clone it, and then they make that email. That's one way.
Yeah.
But, there's a million
And
different ways.
they clone the email where it might be like they might add one digit or one letter or something like that. It's
They're creative.
they are very creative.
They'll rip off the logo. They'll do everything. Yep. In Good Company Digital LLC. Question: is East Charlotte still a good place to invest, or has it gone too expensive? Which neighborhood in East Charlotte would you recommend for investing? Sir Ashley, that's your question all the way. No, not me. Kristina cannot answer.
So no, East Charlotte is still a good area to invest in. It has gotten more expensive. No, there's no denying that, especially for locals. They see the pricing and the increase almost untenable. Not even almost. They do find it untenable to where they have to move. You find them moving north or west to Gaston County or up to Cabarrus County. And what you are also seeing is it a good place to invest in, though? Yes, because it's still close enough to the city center, and you're getting high rents for single family homes, relatively speaking, compared to what you get obviously 3 years ago in rents and compared to apartments still. So yeah, no, it's a good area. Trying to think of neighborhoods. Hold on. Where will we be?
He's looking.
I'm looking. I like Sardis Woods, personally. Idlewild is hit or miss. Sardis Woods and Oakhurst, very good neighborhoods. That's what I'll check out.
You're dual casting. Are you on? You're on my channel.
I'll put it on. I'll put it on. Yeah.
I was like, what is that in the corner? Oh, you're dual
What
casting.
is it? Where do we see it? Right there in the link thing. Yeah.
There's a little like I can see it on my end. So if you go over to Sir Ashley's channel, he's actually he's live over there too.
We're doing it. They're doing it.
Yeah.
Sanford, North Carolina. So I am not intimately familiar with Sanford. What I do know about it is, again, I'm not intimately familiar, that it is a more depressed part of the state. That's why you see home prices being very cheap. I just don't know how much opportunities for job and growth in that area. That's the biggest thing.
Sometimes the most depressed areas end up being like 1,000 years ago. Eddie and I lived in Florida. There was this little town outside of Orlando, and nobody lived out there, and then now it is popping, right? When I was a kid in Atlanta, I lived in a town called Roswell, and nobody lived in Alpharetta. You don't want to live in Alpharetta. And I was like,
Alpharetta is like, yeah.
Yeah, so like we would made fun of like the high school. We were like Milton high school students. They got a farming, they have farming and agriculture, right? That is a booming metropolis with very, very, very expensive homes. So sometimes when you buy in those little like Hoboken towns, give it 20 years. They're not gonna be so Hoboken.
That's what I was gonna say. If you hold on to it, like Sanford and then Lancaster in the greater Charlotte area. Sanford is like a suburb of the Raleigh area, I believe. And then Lancaster is a suburb of the Charlotte area. Is it anything going on right now? Is it very depressed right now? Yes. But if you hold on to it for 10, 15 years, you will be very glad you did, because I've seen the 2040 plan. Now, granted, it's a plan, but the things they're putting and implementing and the growth where it's expanding, because as the cities and populations grow, you need to expand out for affordability issues. It'll be a good investment, but many people don't stay in their homes more than 6-7 years now, unfortunately. So
7 years.
7 years, yeah.
Yep. So, but that actually increased. It was
yeah.
It used to be like 4 to 5, and then it went up to
Mhm.
7. But
And I
if
think
you're
we'll
not
see
going to
that
live in the
continually
house,
increasing.
right?
I
Yeah,
think
I
we
do
will.
too, because it's too expensive.
Too expensive, and the interest rate, they're like, why would I ever give up this 3% interest rate? Or even
Yeah.
if they refinance to 4.5, right? Why would I ever
People
give
kept
this
calling it
up?
the
And
golden handcuffs.
exactly, that's where it's at. And
Yeah.
the home may be too small for them and everything like that, but they're like, where else am I going to live?
Blackest Night said, "Wow, I live in Alpharetta. Shout out to Kristina. I have to know since you live in Atlanta." So when I lived out there was a guy, a family that was building a castle. I'm not joking, right? So they physically were building their own castle, and they kept adding to this castle. And it was like
Wow.
we had to go, through the cow pastures and everything else. Now I hear that it's like a really super busy area, right? I want to know if the castle's still there.
The castle's still there? That is
Yeah, there's like
impressive.
yeah, well, and it was like each part is like a little small section of this castle, right? So I want to know
Mhm.
if they're continue to build it and everything. It's wild. And then I heard that it wasn't what you see on the outside isn't the house. They actually had built it underneath, and they were just kept adding that other stuff on the top of what like the top of the actual house that was under. I don't know if any of that's true. This is just
Yeah,
the
but
rumor. I was in high school.
that's impressive. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. They had a bunker before all the billionaires started having bunkers,
Yeah,
basically.
that's quite the
Okay.
thing. Oh, Clark
Yeah.
the realtor is in Realtor, who's in Atlanta. He says Alpharetta is very expensive.
Yes.
I've seen it. I
Yeah.
was out there. I was like, this was all cow pastures.
Yeah.
We used to go legally drinking in that subdivision.
The statute of limitations is over with. You're good.
Yeah,
You're good.
we were
Yeah, yeah.
there was no houses. They were just built these subdivisions. And so we would go out to like empty subdivisions and
Yeah, yeah.
partake in high school activities. Yeah,
Those
so
were the days. Those were the days.
yeah, yeah. 1992, Roswell Hornets. I used to be the mascot for my high school. I actually dressed in the fuzzy green bee costume and ran around. I know that's probably
Wow.
very shocking to everybody in the audience. I know your mind is
And when she
blown by
means very shocking, she said nobody should be shocked by
that.
this.
Yeah, no, I meant that with an extreme amount of sarcasm. Yeah, to this day, I
Yeah,
probably still do
yeah,
it. Yep.
yeah.
Anyways, my biggest fear is places like Orlando,
Mhm.
even in here in like the southern part of Louisiana,
Yeah.
around the Gulf Coast of Houston. As we see more storms, interest rates won't matter, price
Mm-mm.
reductions won't matter because the insurance is going to be so incredibly
Yeah.
unaffordable that we're going to see a different type of crash like in those areas. And then who's going to
Yeah.
pick them up, right? So if you're looking at coastal areas that have really high insurance, do you think that private equity firm might turn those into like vacation rental spots because they can, do you think that's a possibility? I don't know. I'm worried for those markets. I really am, because the insurance is
No,
too high.
as you should. That's a very valid point you're
Mhm.
making, because here in North Carolina, now it did not pass, but on the coastal areas, it was still going to be reevaluated in September, I believe. In the coastal areas, the um, proposition was insurance increase by 99%,
Mine went up
right?
100%.
Yeah, so 99% in the coastal
Mhm.
areas in the Carolinas, and even here in the Charlotte area, talking about it going up 30%. And I just mentioned earlier, maybe not too long ago, that I just got my new escrow bill and everything, and it went up almost $500 a month. Now, thankfully, we're able to take care of it, but there's a lot of families who live on a fixed budget
Mhm.
that $500 a month is like hell. $200 a month is going to be like, we may be able to do it, for a couple months, but after
Mhm.
that, we really need to consider: do we need to sell this home? What do we need to do? Because this payment is untenable.
And if you think if home prices drop, do you think those home insurance prices are going to drop? Absolutely not.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. Who's up first is, why do I see homes that have been on the market for 2 or 3 more months with no
Yeah.
price change? Why do some sellers not adjust the price?
I
Isn't
love this
that
question.
how? Me too. You go with your answer and I'll give you my answer. Go
Yes.
ahead, Sir
All right.
Ashley.
So I love this question because I would say maybe a quarter of the homes, I don't want to say a third, quarter of the
Mhm.
homes on the market right now, the sellers have their wish pricing. They
Mm,
know, in my opinion, they know what they will sell it for, regardless if the
mhm,
market dictates that price or not.
mhm,
So they're like, well, I don't have a problem sitting on this listing or sitting on it being on the market for 6 months. If somebody
mhm.
comes with my price, then I'll sell it. But if not, I'm not, I have a 3% interest rate. I'm not going anywhere unless I get my price. So that's why when you see homes that haven't adjusted for pricing at all, after, if you ask me, after 25, 30 days, those aren't really real sellers. Those are wishful sellers, but they're not, it's counting as inventory, but in all actuality, it's not a real seller.
I call them the testers. They're market
Yeah.
testers.
Mhm.
So they have this piece of property and they're like, I'm not taking a penny less than this. And you tell them the comps don't support that. Well, that's what
Yeah.
I'm going to put it on the market for. And most listing agents will say to them, okay, well, we'll give it 30 days. And if you're not willing to reduce your price, then I'm going to have to pull your listing. Some will do that, or they'll say, all right, well, I'm going to build limited marketing on it because you're being unreasonable. And then a lot
Yeah.
of agents will just say, I'm not going to list it at all because you're not going to be able to sell it. And I'm not going to put those marketing dollars into a house that isn't going to sell,
Yeah.
but,
Yep.
I call them the market testers, but there's market testers with home buyers too, right? So
Mhm.
I remember
I'm a
many times.
market tester with home buyers. Like I'd
Yeah,
throw out low offers to see if you take it. Like I'm testing,
yeah,
I'm testing the market.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that with
Mhm.
there was a guy that every single house,
Yeah.
$30,000 off, every single house, every single house. I think it was like the 10th one somebody took it,
Mhm.
but the house was already overpriced 30,000, so he got it for normal market value anyway. So
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Yeah. And the beautiful thing with an investor, or even if you want to buy a home and get into the housing market and you're
Mhm,
putting in quote unquote lowball offers or being testers, like
mhm.
you only need one person to say yes.
Yep,
You only
yep.
need one person. Like
If you
if
know
your
time
numbers
restraint,
work,
go for it.
if your numbers work and and that purchase is affordable to you and that purchase price, you only need one yes, right?
Mhm,
You only need one yes. So don't be discouraged. The investor where I said the 4 bedroom with the move-in ready house, we
mhm.
made probably 3 other offers. Now, is it 10, 20 and all that? We made 3 other offers that did not get accepted, but we got the one that worked for us in the price that she wanted in a house that was better than what we thought we would get. So you only need one yes.
Yeah, yeah. And then, like, I know that if you are selling your house, don't be
Mhm.
offended if somebody offers you. I know this is your house, and I know that you love your
Yeah,
house, but
yeah,
there's
yeah,
people out there that are doing what they're testing the market too. So they're willing to see how much people are in a financial situation where they want your house. That's why they put the offer in. They're not trying
yep,
to insult you about your price. It's just numbers. It's just business to them. So, like, you don't have to accept it. Just say reject the offer, or counter offer them, but
yep,
don't get your feelings hurt. There's
yeah.
no
And
crying in
that's
real estate. There's no
there's
crying in real
no
estate.
what I say. My keep saying is no crying, but there's no emergencies in real estate either. Like
Right.
very rarely is something like a
No
stage
one's going to
two
die.
fire.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is why I love it compared to criminal law, right? Like
Mhm.
every problem we see in real estate, like granted, somebody may have held off on something and now they need it urgently, but they probably knew they needed it a month ago, right? So long as everybody stays on top of their stuff, everything can be navigated peacefully and calmly for the most part.
Yes.
For the
Yes.
most part. Yeah.
I want to talk to you because it's coming right around the corner. August 17th is the new date for the real estate will change forever on this date. If you
Mhm.
don't know, Sir Ashley, but if the audience doesn't know, um, representation from buyers agents must be done in writing. In order to even look at homes, some markets have done a different type of form, but in order to look at a home, you're going to have to sign an agency agreement with that person. You can buy real estate without a real estate agent. There's no doubt about it. But if you, in many cases, you're going to have to sign something to even look at the house. This is going to turn ugly for a lot of people because they're like, I just want to see the house. I'm not signing anything. But the way the rules work now, we can't show it to you. We can't open the door unless you sign it. And if it's listed on the MLS, you can't go in it without an agent. So, just I want everybody to be aware of that. But how do you think that's going to affect the real estate market after August 17th?
I'm torn. Like most of my answers, is because in the Carolinas for the last 15, 20 years, we've had this similar buyer's agreement where we had to have the buyer sign a document stating that they're responsible for our commission and exactly what it was, right? The only difference or the caveat is we typically had them sign it before we submitted the offer, not before we showed them any house whatsoever.
Right.
So we just have to push it up in our process to make it be the first thing, second thing they do. But so in the Carolinas, I don't see that great of an impact. However, what we will see is one, it will really take out the pretenders and the professionals in the real estate industry.
Speaking of enemas, we were talking about enemas. I can't say the word. Anyways, the real estate industry does need a little washing, little cleaning out, little sewer pipe drainage.
So I believe
it will get rid of some of those.
It will get rid of those. Exactly. You'll get rid of those part-time agents who saw that who thought it was very easy to make money and didn't realize that it actually took work. Like it was a job and a skill to learn different things. So,
but back in the day when I got my real estate license, we used to have to, here in Louisiana, we used to have a form that explained what agency was. As soon as you had a face-to-face meeting with this person by real estate, the commission here in Louisiana, you had to have that form signed. Do you know how many people would say, I'm not signing it. I'm not signing it. I'm not signing it. And so I started putting their name on there and said, will not sign. Because I had I presented it to them. I can't force people to sign something they're not going to sign. So I wonder if that's what's going to happen. Like I would put it in their folder, I kept the whole thing in a folder so that way if it ever came up,
well,
they refused to sign.
It's one of those things to where, again, people that don't know, I own a brokerage as well. So I've talked to the real estate commission, I've talked to the legal counsel, and it's not going to be as simple as like that form that we talk about, agency responsibilities and all that, that you have that they won't sign. Like the way it's written and the way it's supposed to go is if they don't sign it, you can't just put it on the back of the form. You can't show anything. You can't do anything. You can't move forward at all. So that is
the listing agent technically could show it because they're fiduciaries with the sellers, right? They can technically show it.
They could show it, but in that aspect, it's almost like going into a model home for new construction. They have that agent representative on site, and they're going to be pleasant. They're going to be kind and gracious, but who are they looking out for?
The sellers.
They have no interest, no financial interest or benefit to help you get a better deal whatsoever.
I think it's going to be a mess after August.
It's going to be
a mess.
I get why they settled.
Oh, I do too. I understand what's going on, but the way it was very
short-sighted. Yes. Yeah. I think the way they went about it was very short-sighted, and it's going to cause more issues. Then it's opening Pandora's box in so many different ways.
First-time home buyers.
First-time home buyers. VA
buyers.
Minorities. Like it's going to be like a lot of stuff that they may have thought through, but not fully, that
This will
this is
swing
going
again.
to, yeah, like, because
The
it takes out
DOJ
the
always sticks their
transparency.
fingers in things and they go, "Ooh, that didn't work out so good," and then
Yeah.
they'll make
Yeah.
some adjustments. Too Evil
Yeah.
said, "Question: I'm looking for builders. The cost
Mhm.
to build a modular home they give plus the mod equals asking price of the mods, and then they set and sell themselves. Isn't that cooking the market rate or jacking up the build price?" So, okay. So if you're looking at or you're going on a modular home company site, they have the cost of the land that's separate from the cost of the actual modular house. So they're giving you the price of the actual modular house. The setup is completely different because who knows how your utilities are going to be set up.
Yeah.
They don't know how much your permitting is going to cost. Are you getting a basement? How much is your well system? There's so many different other factors. So yeah, you have your mod, the actual cost of the house, let's just say $100,000. But what people don't realize, sometimes to prepare the land just for that house that you paid $100,000 on probably cost about them $120,000. So you have to be really they're not trying to get one over on you, right? A lot of times the price of the house isn't in the actual building of the house itself. It's the preparation of the land. That's why lots in neighborhoods, the cost of the lot is like stupid expensive. That's because it costs them that much to prepare the land in the first place.
Yep.
Professor Cutie Pie with the little kitty cat. I got my dog in here. Anyways, so are buyers agents still getting paid from the proceeds of the sale of the home, or are buyers just bringing cash for their fees? That is a negotiation thing. So
That
some
is
sellers
totally
are still
negotiation.
right. So some sellers are still saying, "Look, I want to have buyers come in my house. I would like to offer a buyer's agent a fee, but it's a negotiation tool for you as a home buyer to negotiate those fees to be covered." In some cases, some sellers are going to say, "No, we're not paying any of your closing costs. We're not going to pay any compensation fees," and that would have to come out of the home buyer's pocket, right? But you're going to be surprised on how many people are going to say, "Well, look, I don't have $3,000. I'm not going to buy that house. Let's find another seller that's willing to pay my agent's fees."
Yeah.
And it's not going to work out the way, I don't think, especially when you're
I don't-
going in those lower end priced homes.
Yeah.
You're not going to be getting people that can afford $3,000 out of their pocket because they're already tight with their down payment. They're already tight with other fees on top of it. They can't come up with that additional amount of money. So
I totally agree.
yeah.
I totally agree. And what I see happening, this could buy, like, this is what they say people want it. This is going to come back and bite sellers in the butt.
Especially if
Because
the market turns.
exactly, like ta-da, you got what you wanted at the worst possible time.
Yep.
Right? To where because before, not saying there was ever any standard commission, right? But it was notated what the buyer's agent was going to get in the MLS, whether it be 1.5% to 3%. Like, it was clear, like, this is what you're getting, this is what the seller's offering. Well, if you are a seller at this point and you have to sell your home, right?
You can't even offer it.
You can't offer it publicly. You can't offer it publicly.
You can't offer it.
But if you need to sell your home, it's been on the market 60 days and you need to sell, and I bring you a buyer, but the stipulation of the offer is I want 6% commission. Well, you're in a position to where, like, I need to sell my home. Am I going to take this offer? Yes, I have to pay him 6%, but I need to unload this property. And he's bringing the buyer. Are you going to take it? Or are you going to still just suffer in place? Right. So a lot of people are going to be motivated and have to take that offer, even though the purchase.
It's going to depend on the situation.
It's going to depend on the situation. However, they would have gotten away with 1.5% to 3%, whatever, before. But now, if it goes into a buyer's market, you're going to need this agent, right? How is your property going to stand out amongst others?
The thing is that these policies change all the time.
Mhm.
Not
It does.
even like, I think it was 7 years ago, the DOJ came out and said, look, it's not fair that the public doesn't know how much a buyer's agent and the selling agent splits work. So in order for you to advertise any property, you must have it very clear for the public to know how much those commissions are. And they made us put it on advertising. They said it was, that would create transparency. So now they've ripped the transparency away altogether by doing it this way. And again, this will change again. Somebody else is going to come along and go, you know what, that was a really dumb idea. Let's figure this back out again. Because if they're going to say, well, if the seller wants to give compensation, then we should allow for that. You'll see it's going to change. It
is going to change.
Who's just saying to a seller that you can't do that? Like, you can't write that anywhere on this sheet. Why? I'm selling my house. If I want to offer this, why can't I? I can offer closing costs. Why can't I do that? Like, why can't I write it in my listing? You're going to see it will change. Lori Ferguson says, does this mean that the buyer signs after August 17th, no matter which house you buy afterward, you've committed to that realtor? It depends on how that form works. So you can have some forms that say that they're only good for 24 hours, or the form will say it relates to that specific property. The forms are going to look different in everybody's state. But you must have something signed.
I saw recently, it was on Inman, that Zillow came out with some forms, some approved forms as well, to where, they want to say request to see a home and all that. There's some, they're getting around it as well, to where you can come see it, but you have to sign this form. It may be good for this one property or for X amount of days, but everybody's going to have to sign that form.
Yep. It's gonna look different. And you can even say to that agent, hey, I want you to show me this form. Like, I'll sign it, but I'm only want you to show me this house. I don't want you to represent me. You can say that. And see, the thing is, it's just, that's another thing. Like, some agents are totally fine with just opening doors, and you're going to see agents that say, I'll open a house for you. I guarantee you're going to see some people, I'll open a house for you for $50. There's going to be some hustlers out there that will do it. I'm not saying that's happening now. I'm just
no, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it.
I'm using my crystal ball, and that's what I'm seeing in the future.
No, you're definitely gonna get that. You're gonna get a different pay scale as far as a la carte realty services and what you can get for X amount of dollars and everything. It's going to be a lot of creative.
Lots of them just filling out forms like that. Like, they're not going to, I can see that happening big time. Like, they'll say, all right, well, I'm going to do the purchase agreement. All I'm doing is filling out your purchase agreement. Everything else is on your own. And then they step away. And then they're going to get into a position where they're like, well, can you help me with this? Okay, well, that costs you this. And then they're going to add on to it. I can see that happening.
It's definitely gonna happen. The add-on fees, the a la carte thing. But then what's gonna happen is that buyer that just got the real estate agent to fill out a purchase agreement, didn't get an inspection, didn't do this, didn't do that. They're gonna come back and start suing, and realtors are gonna be like, well, no,
you sign. It depends on what you sign up. Yep.
I know this is what you wanted. Now, if you wanted full representation, I told you my fee was whatever my fee was for the whole thing. So it's going to be a mess. I'm smiling, but it's
because you don't want to cry. It's like either you laugh or you cry.
Because it's going to be a mess. Because it's going to bring about a lot of confusion, and a lot of my biggest thing is, like, we do these to inform the public and to make sure everybody's aware and just educate and make level playing fields. But with this change, it's the playing field will not be level, because not everybody can have access to the same knowledge and expertise. And when they hire a realtor, what are they hiring the realtor to do? Like, is it like they're not going to get the same service across the board? So,
right. Too Evil said, clarifying the earlier remark, it said, builder quoted me to set up the modular on my land, the same as he sells the modulars for. They aligned their costs with the sale price instead of giving me a build price. That's what I meant. I don't know how that modular company works. I don't know. I couldn't I can't, like, I don't have the paperwork in front of me in order to give you a reason for why they did that. Everybody's does things a little different. Builder contracts too look totally different than a real estate purchase agreement. Like here in Louisiana, the builders don't sign the Louisiana purchase agreement. They put a big giant X on it, and then they attach their builder's contract on there, and they go, "Here you go."
This is it. We're substituting it for this, and their builder's purchase agreement is heavily favored and skewed to protect them.
The builder.
Whereas the normal purchase agreement is protecting the consumer, theoretically, right? This is protect the consumer. So.
Oh, they want us to know what's changing again. So August 17th, I believe that's the date. There was a lawsuit. Let me just dial it back. There was a lawsuit that was put out that was started in 2019. It was settled. It cost many brokerages a lot of money because they were said that they were price fixing commissions at 6%, which actually isn't true. Doesn't matter. The National Association of Realtors did a crummy job representing what actually happens in a real estate transaction. They lost. Yep. So the DOJ came in, stepped in and said, hey, this is what we're going to do from here on out. After August 17th, we're going to say all home buyers no longer you can't say, you're going to get represented for free, or the sellers have to take on the whole entire cost of representing a buyer's agent. The buyers that are going to be purchasing houses have to come out of their own pocket for the cost of the fees of that specific real estate agent. And the sellers can't advertise that, hey, we'll cover your home buyer agent's fees. They can't even advertise that. They said, nope, it's all behind the closed doors. It's all a negotiation process. There's going to be no more cooperation fees offered on the MLS whatsoever. You cannot advertise that. That's what's changing. So in order for you to see a house now, because everybody, this is what the DOJ is telling us, in order for us as real estate agents to open the door for you to see the house, you have to fill out a form that is signed by you that says that you understand that this is a buyer's agent and you're in a buyer's agent agreement. That form can look different in every single state. So make sure you understand what you're signing. Some of these forms will say that it's only good for that specific house. Sometimes they'll say that it's only good for 24 hours. Just understand what you're signing before you sign it. But in order to see the house, you have to sign it.
Yeah. And if an agent says
that's only for houses that are sorry about that. I wanted to put that out there.
No, that's correct. And if you have an agent that will show you a home without signing it, you need to think twice about, like, is this person who I want really working with me or working for me? If they're willing to cut corners in one area, what else are they willing to do?
Right. They could you can't do that. You have to have it.
No, you have to have a sign. You have to have a sign.
Yep. Who's on versus? Do agents work as fiduciaries? Should you ask this question and insist on this before you work with them?
Yes. If we signed an agency agreement to where I represent you, yes, I am your fiduciary. I have to look out for your best interest and put your interest above mine. So yes, you should insist on that. However, again, once you sign that agency agreement, we just talked about it, signing it before we look at any houses, that means in North Carolina, this doesn't change. South Carolina, this hasn't changed, but that just means that you are responsible for that commission. Whatever that purchase price, not purchase price, but that commission, a payment that we agreed on, you're responsible for that. But I am your fiduciary.
So this is one of those times, like if you're gonna work with someone that's a lender, if you're gonna be working with somebody that is a financial advisor, if you're gonna be working for an attorney, you're gonna meet with those people beforehand before you hire them. It should be the same thing when you're working with a real estate agent. You are hiring them, they are an employee of yours, right? Like you're giving them a paycheck. So make sure you're working to find out if this person, first of all, knows how to be a good real estate agent for you. And, and it isn't, let me just tell you this. It isn't about how many sales they've done, by the way. It's about that person and their quality of work, right? Because I know I've seen lots of people like, our team has sold over 300 times. but y'all, whatever, like that doesn't mean they're good at their job. You know, because you're a person, and if you connect with that person, and you can tell if they do a good job or not. And
Yes.
that is important for you as a buyer to work with an agent that is willing to work with you in the right way. That's what I'll throw that out there.
No, that's 100% correct. Got a question from Jocelyn.
Mm-hmm.
Jocelyn, what's going on? I did get your email. I've been away this week on a conference. I will reply back. Thank you. And yes, we do want to help and meet with your church and team regarding. I know we talked about this, and I jumped on. I did this live today because
I
streaming
coached
it
up.
on mine. Yeah. Streaming on mine because I'm traveling tomorrow, so I will not be doing my live stream tomorrow because I'm traveling back from Louisiana. So we'll get back to you. Yeah,
And I coached you to do it. It was a little
no, it worked
bribery.
out perfectly. I was bringing my camera and all that anyway, so it worked out because I ended up doing a couple videos while being here because we had to get away.
So Amy says, does that mean you can't negotiate the commission? Opposite. It's always been you always before the 17th you could have negotiated the commission, and after the 17th you could have negotiated the commission. The difference is that the buyers have the ability to negotiate the commission. So a lot of times, like what happened after August 17th, it didn't look like this, right? So in the MLS, it would say it would be listed, let's just say, for 5%. So 2.5% went to one broker, and the other 2.5% went to the cooperating broker. And we had to list that on all advertisement. So when the buyer came along, that fee was covered by the sellers. So now what they're saying is, nope, only the 2.5% that the listing agent has agreed to is going to the listing broker. The buyer's agent can't have their fees covered by the seller that is advertised. That doesn't mean the sellers won't do that for you. It just means that you, during your negotiation process for your specific home, you can write that in another location, but it can't be written on the purchase agreement either. I think it's where is it on there? Can it be on the purchase agreement?
No, it can't. It can be like an addendum on there. It could be.
Yeah, I thought it was an addendum. I didn't think it could actually. And that's going to be another state thing.
It's going to
all of it is a negotiation, just like asking for closing costs. Like when you ask the seller for closing costs, you could ask the seller to cover agent fees as well. But that is in a separate area, and that's going to depend on your state. Some states are going to allow it on the purchase agreement, some are not. Yep.
It's going to be, again, it is going to be like the wild, wild west out here. Yes.
Yes. Does this mean
does the new rule mean no more open houses?
Oh my God, I missed that.
I haven't thought about this. I haven't thought about this.
I think they have to do a sign-in sheet, and I don't think that counts. I don't think that's the same thing. I don't think that counts as opening the door, because they're going in there with the expectation of just looking at the house, and the house is physically open for the public.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's
going to be a state thing too. I think that's going to depend on the state.
I'm going to I'm going to go back to my local MLS and ask that question. That's a very good question. I don't think anybody asked me that question before.
No, I like it. See, I have the best, smartest audience on the planet. I just want to put that out there.
I like it. No, I love your audience. Your community is always just fired up. I love it.
I know, man. If you have a realtor representing you, will that document still need to be signed, or is this just when you opt not to have a real estate agent? No, you have to have it signed.
You have to have it signed.
You have to have it signed. Yep. That is. Well, I know, my friend, I've had you here for almost an hour and 30 minutes, and I want to thank you so much for being a part of the stream. If you guys haven't yet, go over to Sir Ashley's. He's the smartest man in real estate, by the way. He's way smarter than me. Go over to Sir Ashley's.
I'll take it, but that is a gross exaggeration, but I'll take it.
Whatever. Go over there and give Sir Ashley a little subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let everybody know.
Thank you.
Yeah, and he does the live streams too, but they're not nearly as lively as these are.
No, that's what I'm saying. I need some of y'all like enthusiasm over there. So yeah, I love it. I love it.
If you guys need me, just go to my website. It's at KristinaSmallhorn.com. You can just go ahead and click on the pink buttons, just fill out the form, and we will have a little chitty chat, a little talky talk on the phone. We'll talk over your real estate needs. If you want to listen to this as a podcast, this will be an interesting one to listen to and share with your friends. You can go over to anywhere you listen to podcasts and just look for Real Estate for Everyone with Kristina Smallhorn, and you'll get the latest one coming out tomorrow. Eddie always sets that up. So thank you, Edward. I appreciate it. Everyone, I want to thank you so much for spending this week and on a Sunday during the Olympics, man. Thank you for spending your Sunday with me during the Olympics. This is tough because I wanted to go watch it too. There's a lot of good stuff on the track. Killing it, man. So everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate you spending the day with us. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think they're going to cut the rate on Wednesday. I think
we shall see. We shall see.
We should play a bet on it. I bet you $1.
I was going to give you the gentleman's bet of $1. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to bet you $1. They're going to cut it. My dog.
It's still on. Where is it?